Peace, love, and life, fam. How y'all doing? I hope that everybody is feeling all right and amazing and in good spirits. And you guys are enjoying your Monday. Happy Monday, happy Moon Day. I hope that it is not too much noise around me. I'm out taking a lovely walk this evening, and I just thought it would be a perfect opportunity to share some information with you guys about the importance of empty houses in a natal chart. I do get a lot of people that come to me for natal chart readings, and they tend to overlook their empty houses. You know, most people, especially new people. Now, if you're not new to, natal charts and that type of information, then this video isn't for you. This video really is for people that the newbies, the people that are just learning about their natal chart, etc., etc. But a lot of people, come to me. They want to know about their sun, their moon, their rising, etc., etc. The Venus and the Mars and the this and the that and the third, and that's totally okay. That is totally fine. I get it, but the we miss the importance and the meaning of the empty houses, and we don't think that those empty houses don't have value and don't have importance and significance when they actually do hold value, hold importance and significance. Now, that's not to say that they hold more value and more importance than the the houses that have planets in it, because the houses that have planets in it, that just simply means that you have deeper lessons, more important lessons, and more focus. You need more focus in those areas of your life than you do in the empty houses, right? So let's say, for example, let's use an example. You have an empty fifth house, and we all know that the fifth house is ruled by Leo, the sun. And let's just say that fifth house ruler is Scorpio. Let's say that cusp ruler is at 1 degree of Aries. Let's add an extra layer to it. I'm gonna get a little complicated, but I'm gonna make it make sense. Now, your Scorpio, sorry, Pluto and Mars rule Scorpio. Pluto is the ruler of Scorpio, and Mars is the traditional ruler of Scorpio. So that is the planet that rules that sign that's over that house. So what this means is you're probably somebody that is attracted to a love to date people that you can have deep and intense connections with, deep, meaningful, intense connections with. You also love to keep your love life private. Your love life and who you dating is extremely private. Also, if you have kids, you don't really share much about your kids. Your life with your kids is probably extremely private also, depending on what else you got going on in your chart. If you have kids or a child, you don't share much about them, you know. Um, and then if the cusp ruler is at 1 degree, that is the Aries degree. That also means that if you're a woman, you're probably into those gym rats. You love the men with the muscles. You love aesthetically pleasing men. You love men that look good. Like they can be ugly. They can be medium ugly. But if that body looking good, you want them. You know what I'm saying? You love men that just they fine, they look good, they just have a nice aesthetic athletic build. And if you're a man and you love women, you love aesthetically pleasing women. You love women that have a nice physical physique to them. All right, so let's use another example. Let's say you have an empty 11th house, and let's say that 11th house ruler is in Cancer. That's ruled by the moon. So you got to take that fourth house energy and bring it over to the 11th house of your friend groups, your friendships, your network circles. You're the type of person, so even though that house is empty, we're going to stick with that 1 degree Aries also. We're going to keep that 1 degree cusp Aries degree. So let's just say you have an empty 11th house and Cancer is ruling over your 11th house. You're the type of friend that looks to your friendships and your friend groups for emotional support. You crave emotional connections and security with your friendships and your friend groups. You can also be that friend that is extremely nurturing and caring and give that motherly nurturing that a mother would give, right? You also are the type of friend that love to do things with your friends at home. Yeah, you'll go out and do stuff with your friends. You'll be outside with your friends, but you would prefer to do things with your friends at home as opposed to taking vacations or or going to the club, things like that. I mean, not say you won't take vacations with your friends, but if you had to choose, you would rather be home with your friends. You would rather be cooking a nice meal for them and sharing recipes with them and just talking, girl talk or guy talk. If you're a guy, that doesn't mean, anything bad. If you're a guy and you have this, you have an 11th house in Cancer, you're probably the type of friend that like to stay home and watch the game with your homeboy and talk about life and talk about kids and talk about etc. Sorry, you guys. I had to wait for that ambulance to come. I mean, I'm sorry, pass. I had to stop the recording and wait for that ambulance to go by. It was just too loud, but just let me through it. I'm outside, and I just had to get the message out. But yeah, if you're a man and you have this placement, have this house placement, it just means that you're the type of man that, you give that emotional support to your friendships, to your homeboys. You that type of homeboy that can, you're a good listener. You listen to all of your homeboys problems. You're good at helping them solve problems, and when it comes to life and whatever. So that is two examples of how empty houses can play importance in our life. And also, let's use one more example. So let's just say, for a lot of people, I'm going to go back to the fifth house, because a lot of people will say, and I've gotten this a lot of times in readings. Let's just say you have an empty fifth house, and a lot of people that have an empty fifth house will, say, can I get pregnant, or will I ever have kids if I have an empty fifth house? Absolutely. If that's what you want to do in this lifetime, if you want to be a mother or a father in this lifetime and you have an empty house, absolutely, you can be a mother, you can be a father, you can have children. An empty fifth house does not mean that you won't have children. It just means that that's not an important area of focus for you in this lifetime. You might have one children, you might have two children, you might have 10, who knows. But when you have an empty fifth house, for example, depending on the house ruler, you want to look at the 8th house, because the 8th house is your first pregnancy. The 8th house is the Scorpio house, and that house rules our sexual organs, our sex drive, etc., etc. So you want to look at that 8th house and see what's going on with that 8th house. And also, one more little tidbit I want to add on before I end this video. You also want to consider transits. I call them transits, or high. When transits are transiting over certain houses, like the 5th house, like the 8th house, they can trigger events like pregnancy. So let's just say you have an empty 5th house. You may even have an empty 8th house, but you might have transiting Jupiter over that 8th house. Well, that transiting Jupiter might be that transit that will help you get pregnant, conceive, whatever. And then, you got to consider also the 8th house is the house of unexpected changes, unexpected events. So if you're that person like me who have an empty 5th house, you never thought you would have kids, and you do have kids, or you had kids, or you had a child, you're probably like, I never thought I would get pregnant. What was going on? More than likely, if you have an empty 8th house or 5th house or both, chances are there was a transit that took place that triggered that event for you to get pregnant and have children. The 5th house, empty 5th house, doesn't mean that you're not going to have kids. It just means it's really telling you what type of children you're going to have, and a type of care and nurturing that you're going to give to your children. So I just wanted to break that down. I don't want anybody to worry. And it's so many scenarios that can be used. I just wanted to use the 5th house as an example, because there's a lot of people that have, empty 5th houses and worry that they'll never have children. But, the 8th house is your first pregnancy. The second house, I'm sorry, not the second house. The 10th house is your second pregnancy. So, etc., etc. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. I hope this helps someone. And let me know how this resonates. Okay. All right. I hope you all have a blessed day. Bye.